Hello, everyone. Welcome to People with Passion. And I have someone here with me who is so passionate about helping other people. So this is Shantel McBride, and she is known as the Cheerful Chaplain. And you have an interesting story about how you came about with that. So I'm going to let you tell us that. How did you end up helping people in hospice and hospitals?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, Karen. I just love you, and you are the one with passion too. I have some good teachers. Yeah, very good teachers. Well, how I got into this is about 10 years ago. We lost 9 friends and family members in 3 months, and it was devastating. And I didn't have any of this in my life, and so I didn't know how to handle any of it. And people started asking me, since I was going through so much grief and had so much loss, people started asking me for advice and how I was getting through it. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just trying to swim myself. I don't even know. And I saw my husband go down a funnel into a funk and he couldn't get out. And I just thought, you know, I don't want to be bitter. I want to do something with all of this. And I had met some mentors along the way who taught me that this pain was going to serve a purpose and to find that purpose. And so I kind of just went out on a venture to figure out what I was going to do with all this pain and how to help heal myself. So I was actually on the way to Las Vegas, of all things, and this gal that was driving said, "You should become a chaplain with all the grief work you're doing." And I said, "What is that?" What is a chaplain? I had no idea. I don't even think I had heard of that word. And next thing I know, I went home and researched it and went to school. It was about 2,600 hours to become a board certified chaplain. So I went to school. And the whole time during school, everybody kept asking me, "What are you going to do with your chaplaincy?" And I said, "Anything but hospice." And I'm not going to do anything with death, or I don't want to do anything like that. And now 10 years later, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I definitely look at it as a calling, for sure, because I would never have imagined this would have been the path I took, or even knew it was a path, actually.
That's what I think happens to us. A calling comes from our, experiences. We may not have planned it, but like you said, that calling calls us to do it. You were called losing 9 people in 3 months, and then turning around and fitting that into a purpose. That's a calling.
Yeah, calling for sure. And it helped me heal too along the way. And I saw the importance of grief work. I can see now, looking back, with my daughter and my son and my husband, that, no one said, go get help. No one said this is a valid pain and it's going to change and alter how you view things and how you're going to get through life. I mean, nobody said that. And so, you just figure, okay, what are you supposed to do? You either get depressed and can't function, which, sadly enough, my husband went through in fact, he's just barely coming out of all that. And then I went out to save the world. I went the total opposite, and then realized I couldn't save everybody. And it was just hard, but grief is a real thing, and you do need to process that and get some help with it. You can't just go through it and just think you're going to be okay. It's painful.
I think sometimes when we go through life, we tend to push away the pain because we think pain is a bad thing. We think grief is a bad thing. We feel that our feelings are a bad thing. If we feel something so deep, so intense, we've been taught in our culture to not have those deep feelings, not stay there with those deep feelings. So I think your work is so important.
Yeah.
And being there for families, and especially during such a tough and tender time in a family's life. I recently had that experience with helping a friend, and like you said, that pain, that grief, that the deepness of feeling serves a purpose in our life. And I think you in your position help people, honor that feeling.
Yeah, and it's really just sacred space. Like I feel so blessed to be able to share that with people, and and it's not even walking ahead of someone or walking behind someone. It's walking with, and literally with our patients, walking them home, which is upstairs to heaven. And yeah, I just I look back on all the losses I had and realize what a gift that was. And I'll start crying, I always do, and just what an inspiration all those people were to me, to lead me to this path. And in the beginning, I thought when all this happened, everyone that kept passing, I just kept thinking, gosh, there goes another piece of my heart, there goes another piece of my heart. And pretty soon I felt like I had no heart left. I just thought, it's all up in heaven, everyone's taken my heart, I have nothing left. And a mentor turned that around for me and said, you know what, everyone left you with a piece of their heart, and now you serve from that. And so my heart actually got bigger. And so it's been a blessing for sure.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. Your heart actually gets bigger with every experience, with every connection that you make with this.
Yeah.
Let's shift just a little bit and talk about your passion. I mean, because some people may say, you can't have a passion for helping people, in the darkest moments of their life. So let's talk about what passion means to you. How do you define it?
Gosh, through death, it actually helped me to live, oddly enough. And now, gosh, I just feel like I see differently. I feel like I feel differently. I just see and feel so much more than I did before all of this happened. And like I said, it's just been such a gift. And I have just such this deep passion that's just built inside of my heart. And I do think, a lot of it is from all my angels. Like I have a ton of angels now. And, you wonder, when these people come along your path, there's that book. I know Carolyn Meese wrote a book about sacred contracts. And even with you, everyone that comes on your path, it's like, okay, why are they on my path? And what are they here to teach me? And what am I going to learn? Or what am I going to teach them? And there's this give and receive exchange that takes place. And so every time someone comes on my path, I just wonder, okay, did we have this sacred contract of sorts that we would meet down here? And I know when you came on my path, what a blessing you've been. And then you sent me, I'll never forget that beautiful card you sent me after we met, and just that kindred friendship that we felt, that I just felt
that.
Yeah, and that just made my day. And I needed it because I had some trouble with my son.
Tell me what your definition for passion is. When you think of that word passion, how do you define it? You said sacred contract.
I think for me, sacred contract, I think it's more of a feeling for me, like just this deep yearning of following my truth and following what was I meant to really come here for. And I'm so glad that I found this part of my passion, the second part of my life, that I get to go out with this part rather than, trying having a passion my whole life and then just being burned out. Because a lot of people in my profession, they're at the point where they've been doing this for years and they're burned out, and I'm coming on and into this industry, and I've just got such this yearning of wanting to learn everything I can and just being in the presence of people. And so it's just when you talk about passion, I can just feel it welling up. Like I just want to go and do more, and it's never working for me. I don't feel like I'm working. I just feel like I'm doing my calling, what I was sent here to do finally.
You're definitely doing your calling. You are the right person for this calling.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I should tell people that we met through this book.
Yeah.
Kevin Hall wrote this book called Aspire, and we met at one of his retreats, and
The rest is history.
when you think of this book, is there a chapter or a word that stands out for you? There are 11 words in this book. Is there one word that stands out for you? Obviously, mine is passion. Chapter 4.
I think for me, it was inspire, just to breathe life into people. And even though I'm helping people at the end of life, I still have this other piece that it helps breathe life into people. And I think even the families and friends left behind, to know that this happens, it's hard. It's such a hard part of life. We all know, we're talking about putting people on Mars and living there, right? But we can't stop the death process. And so it's going to happen. And just to breathe that life into somebody that, your life goes on. And I often think of all our loved ones up in heaven who have passed. And if you said to them, okay, do you want them to stop living their life, or do you want them to live? I feel like they're up there cheering us on and saying, go live your life, do this, do that. And they have a new understanding, because I do believe in heaven. I love reading about near-death experiences, and just that other part of our existence is, heaven. And I just see everybody up there always cheering us on and wanting us to keep going and to live our lives. And I think when we grieve, they grieve. And I think their hearts hurt. I think there is a separation that they feel as well.
Yeah, I really like that idea of, there's that place and that time for grief, but our loved ones want us to live.
Yeah.
It's such a strong message that we need. But our loved ones want us to sing, to dance, to live, to live with passion, and to celebrate, yes, to remember them, and yet, we're going to be sad now and then. But the greatest gift that we can give our loved ones who are passed on is to live fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that helps their legacy live on. We're all, even if you're not blood related, your legacy from your friends. My two friends, I have 3 dear friends, my best friends that have passed away. And, they left a legacy with me, and I want to live for them. And I know they're cheering me on. I know they're saying, go do this. In fact, one of my friends, we had talked a lot about doing some things like this together, and just really helping people live and realize, how important life is, because she was diagnosed with cancer 5 different times. And she had such a passion that she left in my heart. And so I get a lot of fuel from her. And so there is a healthy way to grieve, and we're human. Our hearts are going to hurt. And it's, we're not going to be able to just stop that grief, but there's a point where you can't just sit in that all the time, because you can get in a pretty dark hole, and it can bring you down.
What advice do you have for somebody who's in that dark hole, but does have passion, but is like ignoring that passion and staying in that dark hole? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that, even if it's just 3 seconds a day that you focus on your passion. There's so many stories, a friend, I don't think you ever met Thurl Bailey, because he was at the Coronado retreat, but he talks about, he loved to play basketball, and all during high school, they told him not even to try out for the team. They said he was awful. And he was a starter for the Utah Jazz, a really good player. And he went to college ball, and he only was in the game for 3 seconds a game to do the jump ball. And he said it didn't matter, because that 3 seconds that he did the jump ball at the front of the game was his passion. So he said even that 3 seconds and that passion of basketball and not giving up got him to the point where he was a starter on the Utah Jazz. And then there's a really good book I refer to a lot. It's called The Angel Inside. It's by Chris Widener. I think that's how you say his last name. But he talks about the statue of David and how there was other artists commissioned to do that statue. And they just looked at the marble, at the stone, and thought, I don't know what to do with this. And he talks about, you know, the first step was he got out his chisel and just thought, okay, I'm just going to start to chisel away. And so just getting out your chisel and just chiseling just that little bit every day, you know, you can find passion. But you can't do it if you're just sitting in grief all the time. You can't see anything else. So it's important, if you're, you know, really grieving to the point where you can't function, you know, to get some help, get a counselor, get a therapist, get a chaplain, get somebody to walk through that grief with you and, you know, just help you little by little. And it may take a while, but if you're working on it every day, you're going to get out of that. And it's still always going to hurt. You know, Dave Blanchard, he always talks about you're going to find your purpose in the furnace of adversity. And, you know, that's what's happened. And you can find that there's so many gifts in that people leave us with, and we can find those gifts in your darkest moments. Kevin talks about that in his book.
Wow, there's a lot to wrap up with. I was going to say, do you have a quote that you want to wrap up with? But you just gave me a couple of them. That was amazing. You know, so if you did have some last words to wrap up this about grief and about passion and about mentors, because we both have had the mentorship of Kevin Hall, and we both have benefited from that greatly. I would say that a lot of what I do and think about, I often comes from the book. Or I think of, you know, what would Kevin do? Or what would Kevin say? Since we've both been mentored by Kevin, do you have a favorite lesson from him that we could wrap up with?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I've been with Kevin now 10 years too, helping him. And there's so many quotes. I think, you know, just that not treating yourself small and just realizing that we all are here with a purpose, for a purpose. And every single word in that book, I think any of us can resonate with. And when I first met Kevin, I couldn't pick a word, you know, I thought all the words apply somehow or another. But I finally decided, you know, the inspire was the one that really felt like it was my word. But, you know, just finding a group, a tribe of people like we have in the Genshai community has been huge. And having Kevin at the helm, and there's always different lessons and lessons from each and every one of the people that come through on the path. And yeah, I would say, you know, for sure, that's for sure, Kevin's book is one of my top 5 books. In fact, for me, it's my top book just because it resonated so much with me. And that's another thing, you know, that was a sacred contract too, because I never set out to work for Kevin Hall. In fact, he gave me the book and I put it on the shelf for a year and just thought, okay, whatever. I don't know what this book is, but I don't need to read it. And then one day it was just like, okay, you need to read this book. And the next thing I know, it just organically evolved into me working for him. And so again, I think, you know, it's one of those sacred contracts, and he's just got so many lessons. So I would say, you know, for sure, that's a book to read and just get the nuggets out of it that you need.
Yep, I agree. Here's the book again for those who haven't seen it. Wow, Shantel, thank you so much for joining me here. I just loved your wisdom and what you shared, and may you continue to bless the families out there that you are helping. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. Love you, my friend. Yeah.
Thank you.